welcome back to Cinemavino. It's good to have you guys here with us.
Yeah.
It's good to be back recording again after a little hiatus due to some illnesses in my family and then to myself personally.
Somebody farted.
Not it.
I think the old rule is he who smelt it dealt it, my friend. So I think we know where all the fingers are going to point at this table. Mm-hmm.
Look, you point a finger, you got 3 pointing back at you. That's why I don't point.
So we're drinking some Romulan Ale here in honor of our next Sci-Fi Series, which is going to be Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Nothing good comes from blue drink.
Yeah, I can already feel the blue.
Yeah, it is. I was a bit stuck with this, about what to do. Romulan Ale is easy to answer because in Star Trek, it's the equivalent of like a Cuban cigar. It's like you can't have them, so everybody wants it, and it's a status symbol to be able to drink it in the Trek universe.
God, just imagine the tariffs on this thing.
Yeah,
Well,
they're doing their part.
If I had known that there were going to be tariffs on Romulan Ale, I might have voted differently.
Yeah, exactly.
Might have voted blue.
Hey-oh.
But yeah, I thought about doing something Mexican in honor of Ricardo Montalban. I thought about, doing, I think William Shatner in real life is a wine connoisseur, Scotch connoisseur. It's like, well, we could do whiskey. But I thought, we'll do some Romulan Ale. We've never done anything like that for the podcast. Yeah, it's a blue.
Picard is a wine guy?
Shatner is. I think
sorry. Picard definitely is. Shatner doesn't strike me as a wine guy.
He's a wine connoisseur.
Seems like a 6 beers on the couch kind of guy.
He said he's into beer, wine, and Scotch, and he enjoys a good Cabernet. So I thought about that. I was like, well, it's a challenge to try and see if we can do kind of a blue drink. Although I think Travis's is a little more aqua colored.
Travis, yeah, that's.
I put a little bit of beer in there because Curacao is my kryptonite.
It does look a little cloudy.
It has more of an aqua, kind of a
cerulean.
Well, yeah,
honestly,
that's a great call.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
What did you do to my drink that's different?
Well, then nothing, because they were made with the same ratio of stuff. For those of you at home, this is 1 shot of Kettle One vodka, 2 shots of Blue Curacao, Hiram Walker, and then topped off with White Claw Black Cherry. So there you go. And the White Claw mainly, it adds some fruit flavor to it, which is already a fruity drink, but it gives it a nice fizz. So, yeah.
A little effervescence.
Yeah, I think it's a challenge to make a blue drink that's palatable. At least it has been in my existence.
This is doable.
It's definitely good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I threw a little American Solera rattlesnake on top of mine.
Ooh.
Just a little dash. A little rattler.
Which I will say, as mixed by everybody else, this is all booze. This is everything poured into this drink has some kind of alcoholic content. So proceed with caution when you're doing your con binge. So, so this is Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, released June 4th,
1982.
There you go. Exactly 3 weeks before Blade Runner, which is going to be the movie that, for you guys who are listening to beforehand. This grossed just under $100 million against a $12 million budget. This is the second film in the franchise, although this story time jumps ahead many years after the first film. The first film, they tried to act like it was pretty much flowing congruously from the original series. So they caked a lot of makeup on the original cast, even though it was 10 years later, tried to make them look like they were still in that age range. And for this one, they made peace with the idea that it had been 15 years later, so they made them middle-aged.
And they called them old a lot.
The show happened
in the 60s, yeah.
67.
Yeah.
And then, 10 years later, they're like, let's make a movie, and act like nothing happened.
Act like it's still flowing in the same timeline. Almost like this is because the original series is 3 seasons. Like, this could be season 4.
Right. And Wrath of Khan takes place 25 years after? 15 years.
I put about 15 years after the events of the first movie.
Yeah, because it's early 80s.
It's 67 to 82.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry.
And so they jump them ahead to where they're middle-aged.
Yeah, and they say 15 years. They even, in the movie, they say 15 years.
Which I think was a smart decision, rather than pretend oh, no, we're still 30, you know. So, and they acknowledge it in the plot, too, of the characters feeling older and dealing with the fact that they're not as young as they were in the 60s.
Why couldn't they do that with Robert Redford, that one fucking movie?
I know. It's tough for actors, that ego to admit that they're getting
He
older.
was 45 in The Natural.
Yeah.
And they were like, this 18-year-old boy sure has a great arm.
Young scrapper.
Yeah. Jesus.
I do enjoy that still bothers you. It still sticks with you.
That man looked 50.
Oh, yeah.
Which I will say, your feelings about that movie echo my feelings about the first Star Trek movie. I couldn't stand the first Star Trek movie. I've never enjoyed that movie at all.
Yeah, will you explain to Tay the rule of the odds and evens for Star Trek movies?
The odd movies suck. The even movies are really good.
Yeah.
Okay, that was it.
But is that? But I mean, like, is that just like? Is it now just kind of like borderline
It's just
intentional?
understood. No, it's not intentional at all.
But I will say, but even then, like 3 is not bad. 5 is horrible. But then Generations is horrible. So it is kind of alternating good and bad. I think they probably just because of like that creative tension of like they make a movie that's really shitty. It's like, oh God, we got to amp it up and do something good. Just like the first movie, there was a lot of pressure on them from the studio that they were going to end the franchise. Because the first movie, the budget to that ended up being $45-50 million.
Damn.
So in 1979, it's one of the most expensive movies ever made.
Yeah.
It made a lot of money, but it cost a lot of money. So Paramount was like, that's a trend, we got to stop. And so
It still turned a profit, though, right?
it turned a profit, but they were like, we can't keep bankrolling these massive, and modern money, that would be like $200 million a movie and it would turn maybe a $300 or $400 million profit. So they said, we got to turn this around and make these movies more efficiently. So they actually demoted Gene Roddenberry out of his lead producer role. He's the guy that created the franchise. They actually kicked him out of his own franchise, basically, and made him a creative consultant. And so...
Not even an EP credit.
So they brought in a guy named Harv Bennett, who was uninvolved with the franchise. And they sat him down, and he basically told him he could get it to profitability for much less money. And so they said, beautiful, you're hired. So then he brought in some more outside people, Nicholas Meyer, who later directed Star Trek 6, which is another one of the good ones, and a guy named Jack Sowards, who would later go on to write a bunch of Next Generation episodes. They brought those guys in, and they helped make it more cinematic. They made it part one, the motion picture was like 150 something minutes long. It's a lot of like slow moving, like old school CGI scenes, a lot of just people staring at view screens.
Yeah, weren't you saying that they just liked putting the budget out there, like, oh my God, look, we'll see this Enterprise on the silver screen, and then all basically the music and the effects were the only saving grace for the first film. Yeah. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was long, it was slow, it just wasn't good. And so they tried to make this one more old school adventure, more like action scenes, but also more character based between Kirk and Khan, having like an actual battle of wills between these two people. So they made it more dramatically interesting. And they actually reused a bunch of shots of like the Enterprise going to space dock and stuff. That's from part one. They actually recycled those.
We can use that again.
Yeah. They reused a lot of the sets. They'd save money where they could. So, yeah, this is a direct sequel to the original episode of the series called Space Speed.
Space Seed.
Space Seed, sorry. Harv Bennett.
Space Speed.
Space Speed. It's Space Seed.
How fast are we going? We're going Space Speed.
We're going super fast. So Harv Bennett went back and watched all the original episodes of the TV show, and he figured out that Khan. I mean, first of all, to have a really truly cinematic movie, you got to have cinematic, like a great villain. And he thought Khan, especially as played by Ricardo Montalban, kind of a big, over-the-top, almost Bond-style villain, was the way the series needed to go. It needed to have an interesting bad guy.
Was Ricardo in the TV show?
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, he was the Khan.
Much younger.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did he do much between then and Wrath of Khan?
He was actually peak fame in this movie because he was in Fantasy Island.
Yeah. The plane.
So yeah, he was big star when this was out, and he was famous for the Chrysler Cordoba commercials where he was like, "It has rich Corinthian leather."
And he was also famous for his almonds. He had a whole line that was Ricardo Montalmans. I made that up.
Yeah.
But I like Space Seed because it lets you know, it gives you some of the history of the character Khan. Because I had always seen Wrath of Khan, and I had never watched the original series.
Yeah.
So when I was like, oh, this is connected to this other episode, I went back and I watched the episode of Space Seed, and I'm like, oh, the original series is not fucking bad. Mm-hmm. Like, it's got dog shit,
the production value sucks, but
production value, but like
the story is great. Good stories, and it's always it always kind of has a theme where it's around like being a better person and like being a better society and trying to bring society to outer space.
Right. But I like that they explain the eugenics wars, which apparently take place in 1996.
Yeah.
So we were hosed there. But they explained that it was all about genetic engineering and genetic engineered people, kind of like Gattaca. We're like, all right, these people are like 4 times stronger than normal people. They're super smart and they have all this. So it lets you know that, like, as soon as they get on a ship, Homeboy reads for like 8 hours and then knows how to do the entire Enterprise.
I know how to use your ship now.
He knows the crew, knows people by name. Yeah.
Right.
Also, how do they think eugenics works? Because, like, from 67 to 90, they think that they can breed an entire race of, like, super soldiers.
And build interstellar spaceships that travel outside of the solar system.
That's at least a logical gap from where they were in the 60s, where they're like, okay, we're going to the moon. Obviously, continue this linearly. We're going to be at Mars in, like, 5 years. We're going to be stretching out into, like, way out there in like 15. By 90, we should be able to do, intergalaxy travel. Well, that's logical.
If you think about, like,
how many generations of eugenics does it take to breed a super person?
Like a Superman.
That guy could lift with his single hand, just a person.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's strong enough. He could lift, like, probably 1,000 pounds.
I just seemed a little far-fetched.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do Vulcans not, like, fist each other? Do they just, like, nerve pinch?
That's their go-to move.
Or would that work?
2 in the pink.
On a
two in the stink.
Yeah. I'll try it.
So anyway,
just popped in there.
And you got to think that's the first time that phrase has popped into any Wrath of Khan podcast in the world. So
no, it's not. We know Star Trek fans.
So this movie really does what great sequels do. It advances the characters of Kirk and Spock. It advances the mythology a lot. And you guys on video are getting a real treat between these two miming stuff out. Kirstie Alley makes her screen debut as Lieutenant Saavik, who is a half Vulcan, half Romulan officer.
Yeah, they gave her more lines. They gave her more lines than Uhura. Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's my one beef with this movie is it doesn't do much for people beyond Kirk and Spock in the main cast. It doesn't really have a lot to do for everybody below them, so which is too bad. But I'm sure
you get a little bit of Sulu.
You get a little bit of Sulu. Yeah. You can see why the lower cast wanted to kill Shatner because supposedly his arguments always result in him getting more lines and more screen time at the cost of theirs.
That makes sense.
Yeah. You can see why they didn't like him.
I mean, just Galaxy Quest.
Yeah.
If you've seen Galaxy Quest, you get the whole argument.
Yes.
Yeah.
So basic story finds Captain Kirk and crew tangling with Khan, who is a genetically enhanced supervillain who is out for revenge and blames Kirk for the death of his wife. That battle will bring Kirk to Dr. Carol Marcus, an old flame from back around the time of the original series, who has a big secret for him. So Tay, I'm curious as you as the outside Trek guy, what were your thoughts about it?
I think you guys were making the drink. But I asked Travis, I said, so I was like, was Khan trying to dress up like he was in Mad Max? And it was like, I was like, that was an interesting choice of outfit, but I also, it was interesting.
It was fun juxtaposing this with Road Warrior.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, he's wearing the exact same outfit. It's like, I'm kind of here for that.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, never seen. The only other Star Trek film I've actually seen is
First Contact.
There was a bunch of goo in that one. Is that right?
I liked it. It's number 6. Yeah.
Number 8.
Yeah, I feel it was late. But anyway, that was a good one. I actually really, really liked this one. And maybe it didn't really occur to me because I haven't seen a lot of Star Trek, but like it really was like for as big as this franchise is, like it was just Khan and Kirk the whole time. Yeah. Like basically the whole time. It's like Scotty had a little bit of it, like little, and then Spock, may he rest in peace. It was like, I assume he gets resurrected. Yeah. But
what? No, he died.
It's like, nope, that's the end of the series.
He sent his body to the planet that was rejuvenating. Surely nothing happened.
Yeah. But I actually really liked it.
Yeah.
And I could have even thought to myself when I was watching it, this could be a standalone. Because I know you guys had mentioned watching the previous episode. I know you gave me a little bit of a rundown, but I was like, you don't even need to. Like, you could just watch it and be like, you kind of get the gist of it and like, oh, yeah, he's pissed at Kirk because he did. I mean, like, as any villain would be.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to tell the backstory. It's just like, hey, he killed my brother. He killed my wife. And it was just like, all right, let's go kill Kirk.
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked the dialogue. I thought it was... It made me smile the whole time just because I was like, man, this is a Star Trek movie, but I'm actually kind of getting into it. Not to disparage other Star Trek movies. I just never seen any of them. I never thought I would actually like enjoy it. I did like the very beginning. I thought to myself, like, when she's in that little training session and things start to explode, the fake acting, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, oh, it was a test anyway. But even then, I was still a little worried, like, is this the effects? And I was like, is this it? And it was like, there were a couple of scenes like that. But again, you have to remember it was like 82? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like I did like the effects. I liked the story. A lot of it was like pretty cool. You know, you could feel the antagonist, you know, that whole thing. It was like, you tell it was like a battle of the wits.
Yeah.
For some reason, I really thought it was going to be like a fight to the death. Like they were going to fight, but it was more just like an intellectual fight.
Yeah.
Kind of. It was like the whole time. I don't know why I thought they were going to get into a ring. And it's like, we are going to stab this out. Yeah. And it was like, no, that's not how that, you know, it's like, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of thought this film was like a really, really good film. And it kind of makes me want to watch other Star Trek films. But then I get worried I'm just going to go down a dark, dark rabbit hole. Yeah. And I'll have to watch more and more and more and just to understand it.
Did you see the Chris Pine Star Trek movies? Like the trilogy?
Oh, I thought you did. I thought no?
You mean the J.J. Abrams?
Yeah, the J.J. Abrams.
No.
They do remake Wrath of Khan.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah, you should go back and rewatch it now with context. It's really good.
Yeah.
Context. If you will.
Yeah. But I will say this. I actually like this film a lot. I wish there was one thing in particular that like I did like, you know, there were just little bitty things like I did like all the characters that I knew. It was just kind of funny to see them do it. Like Sulu, who was just like, I don't know why, like every time he did something, it kind of just made me smile and giggle. I'm just like, it's like, because even not knowing Star Trek at all, you know those characters, like you know who they are, and just to hear him like, oh yeah, I was like, it's just like someone just like told a joke in the background. I can just picture his voice, you know, and everything. But yeah, gosh, I don't even know how to describe this film and how I'd rate it in the Star Trek realm or just as me watching it. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was like, I would definitely watch this one again. I kind of do want to watch it again because it was was it right at 2 hours? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like,
it's a tight.
Yeah, it was like, it's like right at 2 hours. You're actually, there was never a time I felt like I could have just gotten up. Like I was actually engaged the whole time. And for that, I would say it's solid 7.5, 7. It was like, I was into it. I thought it was well done, but I do think it did kind of just make me giggle, and maybe because it was just the Star Trek factor. Yeah. It was like that. I just not like. I was like, man, and not to disparage it, but I'm just like, I'm watching a Star Trek movie. Like, what the hell is this? Yeah. But it still was really good. I was actually really way better in my opinion than First Contact. Yeah. Like for some reason, I was just so much more engaged in this.
I think you can come into it with less context and enjoy it more than First Contact.
Yeah.
First Contact, like you said, is like the fucking 8th movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the franchise, it's like you started off with Endgame
after 7 seasons of Next Generation.
Yeah, it's like you came in watching Endgame versus like watching Iron Man.
And it's a sequel also to the TV episodes where it's like you need a lot more of that TV episode for First Contact than you do Space Seed for this one. Yeah. Because this one has such good writing that they really do a good job of explaining away the stuff you need.
It takes very little exposition to just be like, all right, got it.
But there's a lot going on in that TNG episode where Picard gets assimilated in terms of First Contact that you need to enjoy the First Contact that much more. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to be lost, I think.
The only thing I have to say about this that also made me smile was, who were the two guys that got kidnapped and they got the little larvae in their ear? Chekhov.
And then...
Okay, is Chekhov like a regular character?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, and this was just me. For some reason, and Todd, I think you'll know this very well, every time he spoke or every time I saw his face on camera, all I could think about was Saturday Night Live and the Antonio Banderas show, where he was just like, "No, Antonio, it's too sexy, too sexy." That's what his face looked like to me. It was just like, "No, Mr. Antonio, no, Mr. Cook." And then when he was talking, and then he was talking to the girl, it was like, "Mr. Cook's orders," and it was just like, "What?" He was like, "No, Mr. Cook is too sexy, I cannot kill you. No." I don't know why he just looked like that to me.
His bad Russian accent is legendary.
Well, and he's a real, like a main character because he didn't die.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Somehow he didn't die.
And a very famous bit of continuity error for if you go back and watch Space Seed, he is not in that episode, even though Khan recognizes him on the planet. Like, well, he was off duty when the TV episode was going on.
Yeah, he was in the background as a person.
In the TV episode, he's not in that episode. He never interacts.
I didn't think Chekhov was in.
And also,
I don't think Sulu was either.
And I get it. His name is Chekhov, but that was a Russian accent.
That's what it's
supposed to be.
Dios míos.
Yeah, I think
it was like,
it's that good.
Yeah, I think he's from like Delaware or somewhere.
That was in the future. They were like, yeah, we're going to be friends with the Russians. It's all going to be, that's the thing with Star Trek is it's very hopeful, very optimistic about the future. It's like, hey, we're going to get
it's idealistic.
Yeah, we're going to get over all these petty idiosyncrasies and differences, and then we're all going to go to like explore the galaxy as one. We're not there yet.
No.
Not quite.
No, so close, though.
Yeah.
Trav, what'd you think?
It's dog shit. Oh, no. So this, Taylor, is the best Star Trek movie. Like, out of the original 10 before they, got J.J. Abrams, this is the gold standard of Star Trek movies. I liked it. I saw this before, and, I think I watched all of them back to back at one point. And this is the best one. But I liked going back and watching Space Seed right before that. And before I watched it this time, I watched Space Seed right before. And so you get all those like little extras where they're like, where Chekhov's like, Botany Bay. We're like, yes, all right, I know exactly what that is. And they show the gal MacGyver's, which I thought, yeah, I was like, her name's MacGyver? Mm-hmm. That's Khan's wife that died. And that in Space Seed is where you get to see Khan and Kirk fight. And Khan wipes the floor with him. Again, Kirk has to...
he has to outsmart him.
Yeah, he has to... Mm-hmm. Well... By getting a big ass button, that's how he beats Khan. He's like, what's
let's not
behind
talk
me?
about Kirk's like,
oh, hold on, this console, this little knob. I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna pull it out. It's gonna pull out into a whole fucking mace.
Yeah, it's a whole ass club.
Yeah, he turns a button into a crowbar and then beats the shit out of Khan.
Well, they established in this movie that's Kirk's like modus operandi. When the chips are down, he cheats.
He cheats. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is true. Yeah, like
so,
and it's an effective strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this is
take that away, kids.
Yeah, this is where they also what I guess originated the Kobayashi Maru, which is like the unwinnable gambit, and they bring it back in the J.J. Abrams movie.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is this the first reference to the Kobayashi movie?
I think. Yeah. Okay.
It's like the Alamo scenario,
and which is weird that J.J. Abrams is like just trying to hit on the notes of the most popular Star Trek movie that came before, and using the same notes and the same. It's just. I mean, I guess it works because he established that that's like an offshoot branch universe or dimension that they're in on those films. But what I love about this and Ricardo Montalban is that he is a competent villain. Like, he steps ahead. He fucks up Kirk right when he shows up and keeps him limping the whole time and dogs him. And it's only until Kirk is able to say, oh yeah, our ship is not as damaged as we once thought, and that's the one deal he had over Khan the whole time, is that they were basically doing rope-a-dope. But yeah, I love it because of the history that they tied back to the original series. So even if you hadn't seen the original series, they did a good enough job to make it, just a single watch.
Yeah.
But if you were a big enough nerd, you enjoyed extra stuff from Space Seed that traveled in. Because they also tied in what Kirk's girlfriend, wife. How long was she in the series?
I don't remember her being in the series. I think that's like this was
Is that exclusive to this movie?
yeah. It was like this.
By the way, he also has a son.
Yeah.
Illegitimate.
Yeah.
I thought she did show up in the series.
I don't remember her in the series.
Okay.
I think that this was he hooked up because that was Kirk's thing was he was a womanizer.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think this was a thing where that Gene Roddenberry really departed from what they did in this movie because he wanted the characters to be idealized, minimal interpersonal conflict between the crew. This was like, no, Kirk, he knocked up a girl and then went on into the cosmos, which would have been, Gene Roddenberry would have been, repelled by that.
Rolling in his grave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I even like the setup where they have to they hit you over the head with it. Like, oh, Kirk, you're old. He's like, cool. What are you going to get me? Oh, glasses for my birthday?
Yeah,
all right.
vocals, yeah.
Yes, I'm old. Fine. We'll have Romulan Ale. Yes, I'm an admiral.
Here's an old dusty book for you to look at.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I just like the fact that they're doing a checkup on the Enterprise with a fresh crew that hadn't been in the line of fire. They have to have some MacGuffin where he gets back in the captain's chair.
Yeah.
And anyway, I just the amount of action, the amount of thought, the amount of plot that went into it, the amount of history, I would agree with Tay. It's like a 7.5.
Okay. John?
Yeah. It's a great movie. I mean, I think I really love watching Space Seed before and going to this after because you can see the shift in production value. Like one of the things I really love seeing is when you see a TV show get a movie, just the scale up in production value, just how shiny everything is.
Yeah.
It just looks better.
Yeah.
Space Seed, I am glad I watched it. I don't think you need it for the context, but you do get a little bit more. You kind of see like the story behind his wife, and you can kind of see what little pieces they clearly picked out when they went back. And like it, as a screenwriter, you can tell that they went back, watched the show, and were like, okay, what can we use as fodder for a movie?
Yeah.
And like, this is genius. They leave this guy stranded, but it was like a fair, well-intentioned, like, so the whole thing was at the end, they give him a tribunal and they're basically like, hey man, like you clearly are trying to mutiny our ship or like take over. We're going to leave you on this planet that is totally inhabitable. Or it's totally habitable. You can live there. Let's see what their society looks like in 20 years, and just like it'd be interesting to go back and see what happens, what they're able to do with this fresh, bountiful planet.
Yeah, what fruit will come from this seed that you planted? Yeah.
Exactly. And then fast forward 15 years, and he's like, you're an asshole. You left us on this planet that then got like the sun exploded, and we got stranded on this like desert planet that you told us was an oasis, and we've been having to like straight up look like we live like in Road Warrior. Like it's been bullshit. You left us on planet bullshit. My wife died. That's your fault. His wife, who by the way is a former crew member of the Enterprise,
and was not an augment.
No, she was a baddie though.
Yeah.
Where he's like playing with her hair in Space Seed, and he's like, "You need to let down your hair.
A little awkward.
Your hair is too."
Yeah.
Oh, so he swooned her?
Yeah.
He straight up he seduced her because she was the only historian on the ship, and so they were like, "Hey, we just found a bunch of people from 1990. We need you to come like give us some historical context." And she basically gets there and she's like, "This is the hottest fucking man I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I am soaking wet right now."
Yeah, she saw Khan like in
She saw
deep
Khan
sea-
laying in a
stasis,
glass
and she was like, "That is a face I would gladly sit on."
100%. She said, "I'm going to make that face damp."
I thought it was hilarious when when she came in his room and he was like, went to kiss her. She goes, "No, that's not what I came for." And he goes, "Then get the fuck out of here." Then she's like, "Wait, don't make me go." He goes, "You can stay, but only if you want to stay."
And she's like,
And then she goes, "I want to stay." And he's like, "No, I'm so mad. You must ask if you can stay." I was like,
the interaction it is so weird.
He's toxic as shit.
Oh yeah.
But she is full on horny for him as soon as she sees him. And so she basically is the traitor. She gives up the ship and is like, "Here's what you need to do to get out. You can strong arm like all the guards, and like basically he releases his people. They take over the ship, but Kirk's people won't turn on him. So basically they put Kirk in like a vacuum chamber, and they're like, we're gonna kill your captain. You guys got to swear fealty to me." None of his people do. So basically, again, the way that Kirk wins over is by being just the best, most, compelling captain that there is. His crew basically stands by him, and ultimately the guy's wife releases Kirk and is like, man, I'm sorry, I kind of fucked up and turned the ship over to you. And so and part of the punishment is she goes with Khan on the planet because she wants to. So
After Khan got his ass beat by a long ass button.
Again, gets his ass beat by a button. So I think it sets it up nicely that you see Khan is superior on strategy. He is superior on muscle. He's superior on he's smarter, faster, stronger.
Yeah.
But Kirk he's got wiles, he's unpredictable.
Yeah.
And so the 1990
Kirk has friends and loyalty.
Exactly. That's what he went. Power of friendship.
Well, Kirk has confidence, and Khan, if you think about it, is very insecure. And Kirk plays on that, where he's like,
he gets fucked over by ego.
Yeah, exactly. He plays on his ego. So
I'm
in this
laughing at the
movie,
superior intellect.
Yeah.
you kind of set up that part of this movie of okay, Khan is again superior. He knows how to navigate the ship. He knows how to use your own stuff against you. But then Kirk comes in and he's able to, I know something about the ship you don't know, because he's got years of experience. He's got charisma. And then he's able to bait him into coming after him and use his own ego against him. So he kind of does that judo thing. He kind of uses the other person's momentum and weight,
Talk about his sweaty chest.
Oh, his chest is so sweaty. But Khan has the best chest. It's the sweatiest.
Yeah. That's a hunk of man.
That's a hunk of man. I think it's really well written as a movie. I think the screenplay is really well done. I think they picked really good nuggets out of the show to turn it into this. And I think the characters are, just the same characters we know and love.
Yeah.
You don't get a lot of the auxiliary cast. You just get the main actors. But it's a good movie, and it's like you said, it's a tight 2 hours. I love it.
Was it were the TV shows, were they an hour long?
It was a 50 minute episode.
Yeah.
I honestly thought it was going to be a two-parter.
Shorter commercials back in the day.
Those were the days, man.
You didn't have 22 minutes of commercial.
You get 10 minutes of commercials that are all cigarettes
of TV show.
Yeah. And
that's also part of it, is that they were able to cram that much more
cigarettes and
cram all that more story in there.
That's right. Yeah. Brill cream.
Khan has a Karen haircut.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's got the big poof. You know what? His haircut is the same haircut as the wife from The Sopranos.
There you go. Oh yeah, I never thought about that.
Edie Falco.
So
Carmela Soprano.
Chew on that. Yeah. I don't know. It's a great movie. I think it's really well done. I would give it an 8.
Yeah.
I think. Just because it's really good. I think you get a really good bad guy out of Khan.
Yeah.
And you get to see the best side. Yeah, you get that acting bit, and you get to see the best side of Kirk.
Also, they introduced Genesis in this, which is a thing for the next 3-4 movies.
Is it? I figure they put a lot of effort into it.
Well,
I thought it might be a thing.
Like we said, they left it on a cliffhanger where Spock is dead, but then they jettison his body onto the planet.
Well, it's all the next movie, and then I think even the fourth one as well.
Picard has a Genesis.
They continue to refer back to it at some point. Yeah. But then you actually get to see how it can be used as a weapon later on, I think.
Like everything else gets perverted.
Yeah, that was the MacGuffin.
We infect this planet with life.
Genesis was the weapon that everyone was chasing and trying to keep out of everybody's hands.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm probably the biggest Trek nerd at the table.
You could say that again.
I would give this a 9. This is, like you said, it's the best Star Trek movie.
Would you give it a Deep Space?
A Deep Space 9? Yeah. Which, I think the next movie I'd probably give a Babylon 5. So there you go. But yeah, this one checks all the boxes. It was the movie that needed to be made after the disappointing first film.
Wait, hold on. With the next movie, would you give it a 7 of 9?
Oh, we're going just hardcore nerdy.
Yeah.
I would actually. I think Star Trek 3 is not bad. It's a good follow up to this one. This one's a tough act to follow.
It is kind of a twofer.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah. This one grows on you. The more you get into Trek and the more you watch of it, the more you appreciate this one and the good story that it tells.
And the death of Spock. I didn't even get into that.
Spoiler alert. Then Spock's sacrifice at the end is one of the cool character beats in the franchise.
Which, again, is a way that they subvert Khan is by, the loyalty of being willing to die for your captain.
Yeah, and they're always
He doesn't
using
understand it.
the quote, like, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Yeah.
Or the one.
And and that's some of Shatner's best acting at the end. I think he doesn't get a lot to do as an actor. He's a very often mocked performer, but that's some of his better acting.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. But the music is great by James Horner, the special effects.
Industry, yeah.
Industrial Light and Magic. This was their first foray into the film. Their work in it is very good. It checks all the cinematic boxes. It elevates Trek finally to a good movie status, because it's like the first movie was a long TV episode. It felt like a bad episode of the TV show. This feels like a good movie. So just like I think that Star Trek Generations for the Next Generation cast, that was a bad episode of the TV show, a bad two-parter. First Contact was, once you see the TV series, it's a good movie. It's finally elevated past being a TV show. So but yeah, I'd give this a 9. It's fun to go back and watch it. I hadn't seen it in a long time.
So what's your favorite iteration of Star Trek of the series?
I hate to go back to the Next Generation. It was a lot of fun.
TNG's are really good.
Yeah, I enjoyed Deep Space Nine a lot as well, though.
Right. I never got into that. We watched the first episode, but I think most everybody loves Next Generation is the best, because it's 7 seasons?
Yeah.
And it's the one where you're with the crew the longest. And not to say it doesn't have some shit episodes.
There are.
But it's got the Borg.
You get the
Q.
Borg.
It's got really good. Yeah,
there's some good stuff.
Best series.
Would you say?
I do want to go back and watch the original series, because that space seed had me intrigued. I'm all right.
It really, there's some good episodes. There's some hit and miss. For sure.
Would you say Star Trek has a villain problem the way that Marvel does?
As in, there's not enough of them.
Yeah, they kill off the villains, and they don't have enough of a good, repeatable, scalable villain.
Yeah. They do. They have cool villains. They don't always know how to use them.
Yeah, because the Borg is sort of like a menacing, omnipresent menace.
Yeah.
I know there was Harry Mudd, which I didn't know him at all, but I think I started watching Star Trek Discovery, and Rainn Wilson played the new version of Harry Mudd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dwight. I
think so. It's been a while since I've watched it, but Harry Mudd is what? He's just like a grifter or something?
Yeah, he's like a con man.
Yeah, okay.
Not to be confused with Zachary Quinto, who played a con man.
There you go. No, you're thinking Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, it was Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah,
Quinto was Spock.
Ugh. Yeah. Ugh. There you go.
He's mean to restaurant staff.
Yeah, fuck him.
Yeah.
Is he really?
Spock would never.
Yeah.
Yeah, he yells at restaurant staff in Hollywood.
Yeah, he made what?
There was an cry.
Incident. Yeah, he made a gal cry.
That's too bad.
I'm like, what a dick.
I hate to hear it.
Fuck you, Zachary Quinto.
Yeah.
Fake ass hero.
Fake ass Silas.
Yeah.
Oh,
Got his ass.
but yeah, there's been another episode of Cinemavino. Romulan Ale, 1 part vodka, 2 parts Curacao.
Two in the vodka, 1 in the Curacao.
Top off with White Claw. Of the flavor of your choice. I think lime would be good.
Black cherry.
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
Blood orange would be good. You got a lot of options. So
Lime would be good.
yeah, I think so.
I don't know if it's better or worse with the melted ice. Why did my ice melt before everybody else's?
Because you poured more beer in it.
What the fuck did you do to mine?
You poured warm beer in
I
it.
think your IPA did that.
Yeah. And your color was like
Your alchemy.
like a bunch of kids were swimming in it. It's all cloudy and murky.
You need to shock that.
Yeah,
drink.
It does look
it's
like
like cloudy.
all ours are clear. Yours is cloudy and murky.
Looks like it smells like pee.
Yeah,
Todd, what'd you put in my drink?
yeah.
Yeah, I put one of those brain worms. Those things are out there. They'll get your brain and eat your brain.
Oh,
RFK's got one of those.
Exactly, yeah.
Is that Alpha 5?
Yeah. So it's been another episode of, great movies, only drunker. Tune in next time. We're going to do Total Recall. So
What a convenient worm. It makes you tell the truth, and then it makes you do whatever I tell you to.
yeah, I like that. It's a truth worm. So we'll see you guys next time.
All right, bye.